Hi there, and welcome back to Torment Tides of Numenera and to the Bloom. Just found out that our preferred way to a place called the Ascension is blocked by these massive maws, jaws, teeth, whatever you would call them. I'm now going to talk to a local guy named Grisela, and he wants to find a way to the Ascension, so let's ask him. As you approach, you see two well-dressed merchants in heated conversation with a wiry man, that's Grisela, who is wearing an assortment of odd-looking leathers and hides. Upon seeing you, the wiry fellow shoos the merchants away and turns into your direction. Instead of feet, you notice that he has two hand-like appendages, fashioned from metal and synth. Indeed, both of his legs have been replaced by these artificial arms that appear remarkably flexible. Looking for the trade post, the wiry man flashes a lopsided grin and jabs a thump at the giant toothy maw behind him. Used to be in there, till the Bloom got hungry and ate it. At least I think that's what's happened, never can tell with his big old sack of guts we call home. There are people in there, do they need help? One of the merchants spits, not anymore. Can't say for sure if they're dead. The wiry man squints hard at the merchant. A lot of times, the Bloom just moves one of her parts somewhere else, so there ought to be a maw that can take you there. Finding it though, that's the trick.
Updated my journal.
Name's Grisela, by the way, Bloom guide, explorer and scout. 3 times eaten by the Bloom and still intact, well, mostly. He wriggles the artificial fingers on one of his feet. Where would I go to look for a maw? Grisela purses his lips. Used to be I could answer that question easy enough. I'd tell you just where to find them and where they lead and what to feed them. But something's got the Bloom all riled up, and she's opening and closing maws however she likes. He shakes his head disapprovingly, as if talking about his own disobedient child. Scanthour's change is coming, I can smell it, figuratively anyway. So if I was you, I'd try the darkest corners of this gut bag I could find. Dank and nasty places, that's where maws like to rip themselves into being. The slums are a good place to start, Little Neeliash, Chirurgeon slum, foul little holes like that. Oh, we saw direction? Yeah, we saw an arrow pointing into the direction of Little Neeliash. Can you tell me a little more about the slums? You're a guide. Grisela lets out a long puff of air, and you're fairly certain that his breath is the same color as the fetid smoke emitted by the Bloom itself. Certainly, it smells near as bad. Well now, he says, rocking back on the heels of his hand-feet. From where we are right here, you can find your way to 3 of them. Little Neeliash, where all them funny-looking mutants live. Chirurgeon slump, where folk go to get their bodies hacked or healed. And the old slave block, he makes a sour face. Folk don't go there at all unless they're Murdans. But Murdans don't really count as folk. Tell me about the nearest one. Little Neeliash. Grisela nods. First of all, it ain't so little. I'd guess it's bigger than the other slums by half. Used to be called something else before the mutants moved in, but nobody remembers the old name. And we had a vision of that, I remember. Far ago. See, the mutants got here through a maw. They used to come and go as they pleased, trading goods from here and there, making all manner of shins. Somebody should have warned them that maws are ornery beasts, and they never do the same thing for too long. Sure enough, one day it up and closed, and all the mutants on this side got trapped in the Bloom. Been stuck here ever since. Funny thing about Little Neeliash, folk on the outside of the Bloom like to pitch their rubbish in here, straight into the nearest dupe or sphinxter. But no matter where they dump their trash, it all finds its way to Little Neeliash. Don't know how or why. I guess that's just where the Bloom likes to keep it. smiles fondly, and again you get the sense that he's talking about a much-beloved child. So, the Trojan slump. Swamp, I always think. Grizzler brightens. That's where I got fitted with these. He taps the metal and synth arms that double as his legs. A couple of nice fellows helped me out when the bloom ate my legs. They were a little odd, I'll admit, and lacking in the social graces. Kept calling me by a number rather than my name. And thought the bloom bless those doctors, even if they enjoyed their work a little too much. Nowadays, the slump is under the protection of a bunch of soldier types. Deserters, I hear, from some battle that never ends. Grizzler shakes his head. Imagine that. Fighting in an endless battle. Should have thought it through before they signed up, that's what I say. And the old slave block? Used to be a prison for slaves back in the days of Chila the Great. They carved it out of the loom flesh with saws that spat solid light and blades that weren't all there. Folks say that's where Chila was chained up, and that's where her legend was born. Wouldn't know it anymore, it's all feathers and filth in there now. Ever since the Murdens moved in. They're a pack of dirty thieves, and if you get too close to one of them, your thoughts get all staticky. Makes it hard to do just about anything. I hear it's because they talk to each other with their minds. But I guess they can't do it quite and polite. I've got other questions. I need to know more about Moors and how they work. Grizzler squints at you for a moment, as if trying to decide if he trusts you or not. Then he nods. A Moor is a door, see? A living door. It's a connection between somewhere in the bloom and another place. That other place might be right around the corner, or it might be in a whole different world. Maybe in a whole different time. It don't matter none to the bloom. And thoughts need to know what's she doing here, and does the Memovira know about her? He's a spy to the Memovira? I don't know. Only one rule with Moors. You feed them what they want and they open. Trouble is, every Moor wants something different. Might be an emotion, or a color, or the blood of one particular fella, or if you're unlucky that day, might be your own 2 legs. Moors are stubborn, every one of them. Until you give them what they want, they'll stay shut. He lowers his voice. Unless you got a way to cut them open. Takes a special kind of weapon to do that, but the bloom don't like it one bit. She'll remember a woman who cuts her open, her Moors, and things won't go easy for that woman around here. Oh, so, and you said that bloom is acting strangely, and do you know why? She's hungry for something or someone. I can hear it in her voices. Just like when a Moor wants to eat somebody, but only this time it's the whole bloom. This sort of thing used to scare me. It did. Probably still should. Scan thoughts. I wouldn't wonder if the Memovira knows who the bloom wants to eat, and I'll bet she does. Why is that wagon just standing here? You'd better ask those 2 fellas here. He nods at the well-dressed merchants. See, they were supposed to be heading for the Ascension by way of the old trade post. But then the bloom decided to eat the trade post, so now they're stuck. I keep telling them to look on the bright side. At least they weren't inside the trade post when it got eaten. But they won't hear it. Never seen a couple of fellas so determined to be miserable. Grizzler squints suspiciously at the 2 merchants. Anyway, until they decide what to do next, we're staying put, and since they're paying my wage, I do what they tell me, he grins. At least until something better comes along, or someone else demands my time. So, about you yourself. Alright, what questions would those be? So you're a bloom guide? That's right, Grizzler flashes his crooked grin. Ain't nobody around here who knows the bloom as well as old Grizzler. I hire myself out to fellas like these. He nods toward the 2 merchants who are standing nearby, and get them where they need to go. Of course, I'm happy to give advice for free. Can't say I ever got tired of talking about the bloom. Or about anything, really. So you were eaten by the bloom 3 times. Yep. Grisilla beams, obviously proud of his achievement. First time the bloom ate me, she took my senses of smell and taste. That's fine, I told myself. Now I can eat all them foul-tasting vegetables that folks always said were so good for me. Second time the blook took my ability to feel fear. What I never ever need that for. Just kept me from doing things that would make for good stories later. Third time, the bloom took my legs. It was kind enough to cauterize the stumps, though I wouldn't bleed to death. Then I met a couple of fellas over in the slump, and they fitted me up with these. Grisilla slaps the synth arms that are now serving as his legs. Leans forward and lowers his voice. Truth is, I'm faster and nimbler now than I ever was. I don't like to tell too many people, or they'd all be clamoring to swap their legs for a pair of arms. Why do you refer to the bloom as she? Do I? Grisla's face reddens. Must be because I'm always hearing her voice like a whispery, chittery sound. Tells me when she's hungry or full, happy or cross. It helps to know that sort of thing when I'm guiding folks through her guts. Seem rather nonchalant about this place. Well, I've been here a long while, and the bloom made my sense of fear, so there's that too. I like to think she's looking out for me. Sure, it takes a little part of me now and then, but life does that to all of us, don't it? Well, maybe not so literally, but you know what I mean. Look at his clothes. His garments are rough, but reasonably well made, though the material is strange to you. It seems to be a type of leather. It's thicker and heavier than any leather you've seen, and the colors are scabrous and ugly. Grisilla catches you looking, and he nods. Tanned bloom flesh. Tough, but strong. Old Sunderman made these. He waves a hand toward one of the walkways that leads off into the vast interior. Oh, good, good. Farewell, Grisilla. So let's go here. We saw that, right? Little Nihiliesh. Where the mutants live. You there, we need your help.
Yes.
What do you need? Mr. Inkpot. Or Mrs. Inkpot? Mr. Inkpot. This man is tall and gawkily thin. His wiry hair looks like an explosion of metal springs atop his head. He regards you with bright, feverish eyes that seem too large for their sockets and smiles. Even as he motions you closer, the man is scribbling words on a scrap of paper. He has fastened some sort of harness around his body. It holds a tiny writing tablet and inkwell, so he can continue to write as he moves about. Dozens of scroll-covered notes are stuck to his leathery robes. Scan thoughts, there is one who will aid the Devourer. I've heard rumors of one fitting your description, one who knows the secrets of the world, who speaks with the divine. Help us, sister, he intones in a wet and breathy voice. We are extremities of the great Devourer, and we beseech your aid to right a great wrong. What? The great Devourer? We are those who venerate the bloom as divine and seek to become a part of it, if it will have us. He pauses. We are the only ones who can see that a great wrong has been done here. Sorrow? What sort of wrong? A terrible torment, he whispers, visited upon the bloom, our god. It is the work of Ioxu, the measurer and meddler who dwells in that nodule of flesh. He raises his pen toward the house that sits on the other side of the platform, red and stinking and inflamed. Ioxu desires to understand the bloom, to quantify its impulses. This causes pain to our god. His eyes bulge even wider, and it occurs to you that you haven't once seen him blink. The evidence is clear for all to see. the raw and swollen flesh of Ioxu's house. We've warned Ioxu to stop his pokings and proddings and measurings, but he will not listen. What methods are left to us? Lets the question hang in the air, an unspoken threat. Perhaps you can help him to change his mind. Well, I'll talk with him. Inkpot's face brightens, and he pulls a handful of scribbled papers from a pocket and shoves them into your hands. Scriptures of the great devourer to inspire your thoughts and guide your words. And the tortured smile cuts across his face from the pen of Inkpot. Who is me? This handful of crumpled papers is covered with messy scrawl. They purport to be part of the canon of the Bloom cult, but they seem little more than the incoherent ramblings of their author, a cultist named Inkpot. Most of the pages are covered with grimy fingerprints and thick dried blotches of yellow phlegm. Doesn't seem the best work. What are all those papers on your robes, Inkpot? Scriptures of the great devourer. They are ever changing in an imitation of the Bloom. You see, he tears one of the scribbled papers from his robe, crumples it up and tosses it over the side of the platform. Those words are gone, forgotten, but new ones can be added as we like. He takes a scrawled paper from the little writing desk that is strapped to his body, spits a wad of yellow phlegm onto his back and sticks it to his robe. Now these words are part of the canon. What? What are those papers again? The holy canon of your faith? Only a part. Everything written by an extremity is part of the scriptures until the writing is lost or destroyed. No one can know all the writings, just as no one can know every part of the ever-changing Bloom. So are they the holy canon of your faith? Yeah, okay. Can you tell me about your beliefs, Inkpot? I will not speak of beliefs, he frowns, but I will tell you what is true. First, that the Bloom is a god, the only true god, and all that takes place within its body is solid and real. That which exists outside the Bloom is an illusion, a cruel trick, and a falsehood. Second, he intones that our goal is to become one with the Bloom, to transform ourselves to living embodiments of its will, and one day to be called to its heart. What does that mean, being called to the Bloom's heart? Inkpot's eyes glisten. When it wants us, the Bloom will open a maw at our feet or reveal a tunnel where one hadn't been before. The passage will close behind us, and we will never be seen again by human eyes. We'll follow its turnings to the heart, and be one with the devourer at last, and pray to no one ever again. Here we'll make a short pause. Thank you for watching, and happy gaming to you. We'll see each other in the next episode. We'll continue this fascinating conversation with a madman named Inkpot. See you soon, my friends, and happy gaming.